I'm Sam.
I'm Adam.
And you're listening to the PMMetalGuide podcast, episode whatever.
Yeah, episode 19.
Episode 19. We're on step 2 of the journey of the Opethyssy. Opethyssy. We're talking about Morningrise, their 1996 sophomore record. Woo.
Woo.
It's pretty
Frickin'
good.
who? Oh, yeah.
But before that, what have you been listening to this week?
I've been listening to a lot. Well, not a lot, but a good amount. The big one...
I've been listening to music.
Yeah, the big one in everyone's mind, ears, and souls is Black Country, New Roads for the first time. I also see that you've been listening to that record.
Wait, do you like Slint?
I do like Slint, and this is certainly a Slint adjacent project, I suppose. They're very similar in terms of palette, but I honestly really like this record.
Oh, yeah, sir, it's fucking amazing. It's really solid.
It's really good. I love the diverse instrumentation. I love just the absolute emotiveness of the whole project. And I just think that overall these young British kids have a lot of talent, and we're gonna see that over the next couple of years. Because if they have a debut this good, I don't even know what.
No, I mean, I know it's sort of old hat, but it's so funny because like these guys are so similar in so many ways to like Black Midi or like Squid, and they're all like art school kids from the UK, like 18, making some form of Slint worship really new, impassioned, emotive. I don't know, it's great.
They've worked
also,
with
like,
Black Midi before.
I know, they're literally friends, which is funny. No, this album's phenomenal. Totally deserves all the hype it's getting.
Was it deserving of a strong 8, or is it better than that?
I think it's probably a strong 8. I mean, you gotta understand, Fantana also gave Brutalism a strong 8.
Yeah, fair enough.
But no, this album's super solid. I feel like there are no real clear flaws. Like,
yeah, no, I don't. I think it's pretty stacked front to back. Every track is really good. Every song structure is really interesting and well crafted. It's honestly just it's a great fucking album. I don't even know how many times I've listened to it this week, but it's been a lot. And we did drop a review yesterday on the blog, so don't forget to take a read if you want to check that out beforehand.
Hey, our 0 YouTube viewers, I'm sure they'll check it out.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I really like the vocal performance. It's great. Lyrics are actually pretty good. I don't know. The whole thing's very solid.
Yeah.
Basically, everyone in the music world likes it, and for good reason.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of albums that everyone in the music world likes, and for good reason, I don't know. I was going to transition to something. You ever heard of the thrash band War Effect?
Yeah, I've heard of them, and I've seen their new record, but I haven't listened to it.
So my uncle, who doesn't listen to like a ton of new metal, just was like, "Yo, Sam, ever heard of the Swedish thrash band? It's fucking sick." So I listened to the album a few times this past week, and it's pretty good. I don't know. I really like thrash metal, but
yeah,
these guys play a really high energy, up tempo version. Musicianship's great, songwriting's great, and it definitely feels like a classic thrash, but with a distinctly modern twist.
Is that their new record, Spectre of Devastation?
That is. Yeah, no, I mean, I'd recommend checking it out. You might enjoy it more than you think.
Alright. It's on Napalm. It's pretty big.
Yeah, no, I mean, these guys are much... I was like, oh, no, never heard of this small underground band. And then I find out they're on Napalm Records.
Yeah. Alright, fair enough. Well, I've got a few more to talk about as well. So there's this 2-piece band called Cara Nair. I think that's how you say it. I'm not exactly sure.
It looks like a Dark Souls album.
It is kind of video game inspired a little bit. It's lo-fi raw black metal, grindcore, and chiptune.
That's an interesting combination.
It is a very interesting combination, and honestly, it works very well. It's like a half-hour record of like 10 or so songs, and every one is a little bit different. It's got some hip-hop in there, too. It's a wild listen. The performances are really outstanding. It is a little bit jagged, and you kind of have to reassess with every single song that you hear because they're all different. But it's really well performed and obviously extremely unique. So definitely check this one out because I've been kicking it the last week or so, and it's really fun.
Feel you. What do you think of the new Divide and Dissolve record?
I actually really like it. I was gonna mention it last week, and I've completely forgot about it.
Yeah, no, I've been actually banging it this week.
That's when you said last week. I don't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about persistent theming throughout a record. Oh, it was the Ex Imperatus record, and I complained about how that album, like the ending parts were all the same. And, like, obviously, Gaslit, for those, obviously, we're telling you about Gaslit, but that album revolves around, like, 1 to 2 melodic ideas, the entire album. And so, I don't know, I forgot to mention it, but yes, 2-piece female Drone Doom album is pretty good.
Is it Drone Doom? I don't know. I feel like this is closer to... This is definitely in the gray area where I don't really think it's metal.
It's like Insect Dark. And it's like...
I feel it has a little more, like, indie influence. Like, this seems like it's coming from, like, a distinctly non-metal background.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because they are on Metalum.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's surprising.
They're on Metalum rather than... like, Insect Dark is not. And so, like...
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the earlier stuff's more metal-focused.
I feel like even still, like it's still kind of...
Okay, do you know what it is?
What?
For whatever reason, this album was like in the ads for my radio station this week, and I was like, oh, wow, that's funny. I didn't think this album would get in there, and so whenever I see like a metal adjacent album, I just kind of associate more with alternative.
No, I think it's pretty strong, and I think that some of the tracks are really killer. Like the single "We're Really Worried About You" is pretty freaking intense.
I agree, and like there's a really nice use of texture, which is always nice to hear.
Lots of layers, very dense, very thick. But yeah, I agree. A very cool record.
Hey, what about the new Cult of Luna?
New Cult of Luna, The Raging River.
Yeah,
it's Cult of Luna.
Yeah,
honestly,
I feel like you've heard one Cult of Luna song in the past 15 years. You've heard them all.
Yeah, I mean,
the band's great.
Yeah, the band's great. That's all it comes down to. I mean, yes, it is obviously very samey. That hasn't changed. But if you're like, if you can get into like, you know, the 8-minute, 12-minute fucking
prog sludge.
Yeah, like, you know it, but it is great. It's another.
Honestly, I like Cult of Luna better than The Ocean, and The Ocean have a lot more variety. So do with that info what you will.
Mm-hmm. No, they know their niche and they do it perfectly.
It's super well made.
Yeah,
you know, like obviously these guys know what the heck they're doing.
But yeah.
Gosh, now I just have the Silent Man stuck in my head. What have you done? I don't know. Yeah. That's such a killer guitar tone. Look, Adam, if I make it big on a GameStop stonks, I'm buying the amp they use. Okay.
Good. What else? What else do you have to talk about? You mentioned Cult of Luna. I have like 1 to 2 more.
Oh, you go first. I need to... Thing is, I like most music I listened to this week wasn't on my last FM. It was in the radio station and like with a few other people. So like a lot of it didn't show up. So I have to remind myself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know. Sorry. I know this is sort of cutting into next a later topics hype, but holy heck, dude, I'm excited to listen to this ad nauseum. Like,
Yeah.
this album screams our album of the year already. Like, you can tell it's gonna crawl its way in that little niche, and in about 10 months we'll be like, this album's just perfect.
It was for a while number 1 on the RYM list for the year. 5 on AMG. Yeah, it's gonna be there probably. We'll obviously, it comes out this Friday, it comes out tomorrow, so we'll have to talk about it next week on the podcast. And who knows? There might even be a review out for it. I don't know, but we'll see.
Adam, you gotta review mediocre stuff too.
No, I know.
The past two records you've done have been great.
All right, fine.
The one I wanted to talk about, which I'm sure you've listened to, is "We Are Always Alone."
I'm blanking.
Betrayal of Guilt.
Oh. Yes, We Are Always Alone. Yes.
I actually, it's funny that Fantano thinks this album's only okay, because I think it's amazing.
No, I also have it pretty high. I did agree with some of his criticisms, though, but I do think that it's still a great fucking record.
Oh, yeah, like, these guys know how to write emotive, aggressive music, and it's I mean, not to roll the credits or anything, but it's definitely like post-millennial in the sense that these guys have listened to everything, and they're really not afraid to cross genre lines, boundary lines, and it's like this record up there for me for like best sounding album of the year so far.
It's really well produced.
It's immaculate, dude. You can feel like the slabs of chainsaw guitars just slapping you in the ass every second of the way, and everything's gritty. You can feel the roar. I don't know. It's really nice.
Good record. Yeah, I fully agree with you.
And then the one last record I want to mention that I'm not a huge fan of is the new Loath album.
The new what?
The Loath album, dude.
Loath?
Yeah, Loath just dropped an album last week.
Who? What? They did?
Yeah, it's called The Things They Believe.
I had no idea.
It's a dark ambient album.
Of course. Not your cup of tea?
It's I don't know, it's artsy and it's cool that they did it, but it's more like it's a cool proof of concept rather than like an enjoyable thing to listen to. Especially because, I mean, on I Let It In and It Took Everything or whatever, they really mastered that brand of sound.
Yeah. I literally had no idea.
Do you not follow Loath on Twitter? They're huge.
I don't follow anyone on Twitter. I don't use Twitter.
Dude, I use Twitter like 8 times a day.
I know you do, but I get all my music from like 3 to 5 websites.
Well,
now
Loath is one of those bands that's like funnily outside of that. No, like listen to like some of these songs briefly, and you'll be like, oh, that's not very Loathy.
I can assume what it is, but I will definitely peep it because I didn't even fucking know. But. Anyway.
Yeah, it's literally like a dark ambient album. Wow. Like honestly, I'm granted I don't know the genre super well, but it sounds like The Caretaker more than anything.
That's not a bad thing to be compared to.
It's definitely a based and like respectable artistic thing for them to do. But when you're known for making alt metalcore bangers with like drop E guitars, like.
No, I understand. All right.
Anywho, sorry, what albums do you want to talk about before we move on to the rise of the morning?
Of course. One I want to talk about is, it's just, we haven't mentioned it yet this year, and I think that we should talk about it, because I've been, like, progressively listening to it more and more, is the new Despondent Moon album.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it since it came out on, like, day one, but, I mean... Just wow, dude. Like, I don't know if you can make better, like, old school black metal with, like, really tight production, really good songwriting, and just infectious fucking riffs. And then this project. I don't know. Like, it's just fucking good black metal. And like, it's no bullshit. There's no, messing with anything like, shoegaze or post metal. No, it's balls to the walls black metal that is, I don't know. I don't think it's perfect. Like, I don't think most albums are perfect, but like, you know, it's as good as it's gonna get for like the icy fucking cold, modern produced lo-fi black metal.
Winter.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you know, like, if you like, I don't know, like if you can get behind like a better written Mayhem, or like, I don't know, anything from that era, like just sort of modernized in terms of songwriting and experience, then yeah, Despondent Moon will rip you a new butthole. Those songs just go hard as shit.
I agree, and like there's just enough like dungeons in there too.
Yeah, no, they got a few dungeons and tracks there to sort of break out the mold of.
Honestly,
pure
I
black
feel like
metal.
2021. It's been like a month, and already I have so many albums that just hit.
No, literally. Mm-hmm. I'm keeping a topster just so I can keep track of of what I am like keeping on the pedestal so far, and I have a ton of stuff there already that I'm like, all right, I want to keep listening to this for as often as I do.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Yeah, it's a good heckin' year so far for music.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I think this is like I think it's called like romantic parallelism, but it's the theory that basically the worse the outside world gets, the more we channel those emotions into art, and that may or may not be true.
Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about is the Lingua Ignota EP.
Oh yeah, how was that? I saw it and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna enjoy this. I'm not even gonna try.
No, I fucking love it.
Ooh, I'm Adam. I like boring. I like boring gospel noise with no interesting sonic ideas and so repetitive and just boring pastiche of all the tropes of the genre. Christian is my wife.
It is not like the traditional Lingua instrumentation.
No, so Lingua's cool. I'm just not a huge fan.
Hit me. It is a noise album through and through. It's not a death industrial album. It's not a dark ambient album. It is a noise album. Okay, like there is a cover of Bach's Agnus Dei, but noise. Okay.
Fair.
Now look, I understand Lingua's not for everyone, and noise sure isn't for everyone. But I think that there's enough interesting stuff going on in this project, with the two covers and the fucking oh god, I'm gonna fucking butcher this. No, I'm not gonna butcher it. Hermann Hesse poems that are being read throughout. And I don't know. I think that it's just, I don't know. It's gorgeous, man. Like for a noise album that isn't so.
That isn't Black Swans.
Yeah, that isn't just like, I guess Merzbow, because like I don't know, like I think this album's better than the new Merzbow album. I just think it does something so uniquely interesting that appeals to me in that kind of way. I like Lingua a lot. I don't know if this is better than her traditional material, but it is certainly different and, at least for me, really abrasive, and the noise is more powerful than ever of her stuff on this release. Like, it's actually like fully encompassing noise, not just the bullshit that's on Caligula and All Bitches Must Die.
Adam, as a straightway male, can you really say the B word?
I can.
Wow.
In this context of saying the album's name, yes, I think I can.
Wow, dude, that's a bold statement. I'm just saying. You ready to talk about Opeth?
I am ready to talk about Opeth. And what a record to talk about.
Okay, so going into this, I was totally expecting to be like, yeah, I mean, Morningrise is good, but it's just not as good as Orchid. It's such a good debut. No, dude. Morningrise, oh my god. Banger. This record is amazing.
All the way through.
Every track slaps. Every track's memorable. Every track does something a little new. You can tell that these boys are pushing their like musical chops to the absolute limit. And for an album with 5 songs all over 10 minutes, it is amazingly engaging.
Yes, I completely agree. I don't know. It took me not a little while to like warm up to that fact, but I did progressively like this album more and more and more, and I still do like it more and more on every listen. And I mean, yeah, it just goes back to the fact that they're such good songwriters, and even amidst the fact that they're trying all these sort of new things that they hadn't on Orchid, it's just, it's so amazing how well it works.
No, exactly. Like, this really does feel like a natural progression. Like, I know when I first heard this after grinding Orchid for like a week and a half, going straight from that to this, like the first thing that I noticed was the just how much better it sounds, how much cleaner.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially on the acoustic guitars. Like on Orchid, sometimes they sound a bit tinny, they sound a bit weak. Here, all the steel strings and all the nylons, you really get the punch. You can sort of feel like the analog warmth that they're being recorded in. The drums are a little punchier, the bass tone's a little warmer, and the guitars are much less compressed. They sound a lot more contemporary.
It's a very cozy album.
Yeah, and like, I mean, basically like every aspect of Orchid has been improved upon. Like the really harsh transitions to like random sections, they're still there, but they feel much more natural. The acoustic passages are much longer. Michael sings a lot more. Even the growls have a bit more variation. Yeah, I know. It just like this. It feels like what a sophomore record should be, and it's funny because you'd think like a band like Opeth, if they got notoriety with their first record, which is weird as heck, they'd probably just be like, you know what? Maybe we can write some nicer songs, and they just doubled down and then dropped Black Rose Immortal, which I'm sure we'll get to.
I mean, we will get to it, but I do think that this might be a little less repetitive of a podcast, and certainly a little more in depth because these songs have a lot more to talk about, and they are pretty different, each one of them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Each one has like a particular flavor, and each like the one like big criticism of Orchid is it's very samey, and I've struggled to remember moments when I'm just like walking around. But with this record, like especially
you remember.
Oh yeah, like I could probably sing the entire Black Rose Immortal from memory, which is awesome. Like I still think of that iconic like in the name of, like that opens the track and like all the melodies throughout. Whisper. Anywho, you ready to dive in track by track? Actually, let's give a little context.
Why not?
So, me having Wikipedia and my PhD in opethology, so this album was recorded very shortly after the release of Orchid. In fact, most of the songs had already been written at that point because the way Orchid was recorded is it was finished in 94 and then it basically didn't get a mass release for a year and a half. Right. So by the time that album dropped, they were basically ready to do this. And they were like, okay, this works. Candlelight paid for Dan Swano again to produce. They recorded in the same place, the exact same lineup. And you can kind of tell, like, this album, I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading a little into it, but it definitely feels like more comfortable. Like they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah. Well, we know that they were just got thrown into the studio by themselves, basically, and did everything they had to do. And I think that with the knowledge that they gained, they were certainly able to improve upon what they had been writing before, and sort of assess what worked and what didn't, and I guess fix that.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's funny because the only like little anecdote I could find about the recording process is Michael was like, he described it as being incredibly boring because of the endless drum takes, click tracks, and shit like that. Which is funny because I know, especially if you studied a lot of prog history, you sort of know that after a band like releases like there's a statement of a debut or impressive albums, generally the albums that follow that fans tend to like a little more, they always describe the process of making as horrible. Like I think about Rush making Hemispheres, and they famously hated themselves, or Yes making Tales from the Topographic, they hated themselves making those albums. But I don't know. This album's great. It's also the last album with, Anders Norton and the bassist.
Which is certainly interesting to, I guess, assess when we get to the next record.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny because this is sort of like the end of the Mellow Death years, and then I think My Arms Are Hers, however I always forget the exact name, but that album definitely signals a more like leaning into the prog rock, heavy prog sound that would
Yeah.
come to define their mid period.
Yeah, I agree. But even here, you could start to see some of that coming into
Oh yeah, like I mean, like for example, Advent has the first like real Acker riff
Oh, yeah.
in the discography, because all the riffs on Orchid, like they're just mellow. They're not just melodeath riffs, but for the most part, it's like power chords and then guitar harmonies.
Yeah.
And you know, when I think of an Acker riff, right, I think of a really angular, really punchy, like death/prog riff.
Yeah.
That you know goes on for almost too long, has
Oh,
like
yeah.
weird chords, and just really works. Like the example that always comes to mind, because I've played it so goddamn much, is Leper Affinity, that opening riff. Like it's just so out there. It's so distinctly Michael Ackerfeld, and it definitely sets the tone for like the Opeth discography.
Oh, yeah. And you're right. It does take its first steps on this record.
Which is cool to see. And like there are moments on this record, I think it's the climax of Nectar, that every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, that's Demon of the Fall, or that's Ghost of Perdition, or that's Hessian Peel. Because I mean, if you've listened to enough Opeth, a lot of the things that they start doing for the rest of their career kind of show up.
Right.
But with that being said, what do you think of Advent?
Oh, great track.
This is an amazing opener. Like, you not well. The thing that's cool about Orchid is it opens immediately with like drum fill into melodeath riffing, but this one you get like a slow acoustic guitar intro into melodeath riffing.
Yes. But then it almost immediately jumps back into that acoustic section, and it is in that for a long time. A good number of minutes, like 3 or 4 minutes. I can't remember exactly, but it starts to blend that too by having the heavy instrumentation contrasting against the like acoustic guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, I think there's Ebo on this track too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm look, Peter Lindgren, you're a solid dude, but you and the Ebo should just get a room. Wait, Adam, do you actually know what an Evo is?
I mean, I know in concept what it is and like what it looks like.
Do you know how? Do you know what you do with an Evo?
Yeah, it's just like you just like buzz it.
Well, so what it actually does is you put it on the guitar string as you're playing it,
right?
And it works as like an electric vibrato because it buzzes the strings at like way faster than you could play it, and so it makes it sound like a synth.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're really playing a guitar with delay, and reverb and all those cool effects, but being hyper sustained with a like electric vibrato.
Interesting.
It's really weird. Strange. It was like a thing in the 90s. Like, actually, do you know who really loved the Ebo? Was Robert Fripp.
Okay.
But yeah, it's sort of not too many guitarists use it nowadays because it's really clunky. Because in order to play an Ebo live, you got to like grab it, turn it on, hold it to your guitar, turn the guitar off so you don't feedback. But it's really cool studio.
Super easy to use.
It's actually really hard to use.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. Peter loves his Ebo, and it takes a nice section. It takes a nice lead on this track as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I will say, like, the acoustic... Like, this album has a lot more acoustic sections than Orchid, and they feel so purposeful here.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
the theming,
Yeah, the chords are beautiful. Often you'll have, you know, the drums playing a really nice warm melody or the bass doing a fill on top, and they sort of blend seamlessly into the sections before and after them, whereas in Orchid, sometimes they'd feel disjointed.
No, yeah, I mean, they do often repeat the themes set up in either the harsh section or acoustic sections in the other one. So, you know, you'll start with this this lead line with heavy distortion, and then it'll lead into the acoustic guitar. Like right in the halfway point of the song is a really good example. After our good Ebo section, it starts to do that. But yeah, no, this song is heckin' sweet. It has a really nice flow to it, and the build that comes toward like the 2/3 way through the track.
No, I literally just listened to that. Yeah, it has a really cool. It does the Opeth thing where everything drops out. You get like a little drum fill and then harmonized guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, I mean it just it like the song is just it's beautiful. It's great. Like all the parts are very purposeful. Basically all the weaker elements of Orchid we see improved upon. It's consistently just very good, and I don't know, it has a nice build and a nice flow.
It is super engaging, and they just have enough, I guess, variety within those own melodies while keeping them similar to one another to really keep your ears active and listening to what they're doing.
Yep, I agree.
It's super fun, too. Like, I feel like I don't want to shit on Orchid any more than we kind of already are, but, like, this record is just so it's so memorable, so fun, so engaging, and each one of these songs just does something right. Whether it's having a nice build, whether it's having multiple, like, really standout lyrical moments, and, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and, like, it continues the trend of ending beautifully. It's just a joy to listen to. It's very fun. I like it quite a bit. I mean, lyrically, spoiler alert, you're getting the exact same dark naturalism that you'll see for the rest of the band's career.
Yes.
Like, how I drape my face with my bare hands, the same that brought me here. But you were beyond all help, the folded message that wept my name. Like, I don't know what the hell Michael's talking about. It sounds cool.
It does sound cool. But, yeah, this song's awesome.
Yeah, no, Advent, certified slapper.
Certified slapper.
So, Night in the Silent Water, I think, has my favorite little acoustic interlude in the band's career, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I gotta find exactly where it starts. But, I mean, after, like, 3 minutes of, the signature mellow death stuff going on, with a little bit more melody, you get that beautiful do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. And then it just keeps on going, and Michael starts singing on top and has some of my favorite lyrics. It's just gorgeous, and it feels like a very powerful and pointed message, sonic moment, if you will.
Yeah, and I mean, it just kind of keeps that mellow vibe throughout the rest of the song. The song, I don't think, gets too intense. I mean, obviously Michael will growl over anything, but it picks up right at the end with a really nice, climax. But I think that nice melodic edge that the song has, rather than just being, all riff, all chug, all drive, keeps it interesting, especially after the last track, which you did have a lot of, jumping from acoustic to like full blast.
Yeah, and
30-second double bass
with
drums.
a few acca riffs.
Yeah.
No, this definitely takes the same place in the record that... I gotta look at the name of the song. Orchid.
Orchid.
That Under the Weeping Moon does, in the sense that it's not as direct as the opening track, but it's more of a ballad with some really powerful moments. I will say, every time I hear like the whispered hook, or not even the final part where it's like, you sleep in the light yet. I think that's so funny, but I mean, it works. It's just kind of
works very well. Yeah, it's kind of memey, but
the silent
I think the Michael whisper vocals fit more on this record than they do the last one. So
no, I agree. It's funny because I mean, we're gonna come to it, but when he literally whispers when he says "whisper" in Black Rose Immortal.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but something about like Opeth song titles I just think are so cool.
No, they're really like, they're either pretty poignant, something like Advent or Nectar, or you have this really beautiful like album name for your title, like Black Rose Immortal or The Night and the Silent Water.
Yeah,
like,
or like
that's the name.
The Twilight is my robe.
Yeah, that's the name of like an album, and every one of their songs has that, or it's something like a one name title, like Sorceress or Bleak or
Window Pane. It's very evocative. Like, I feel like we're going to be using the term dark naturalism a lot, but I mean, I don't know. If you've been listening to this, you get it.
Yeah. yeah, no, this track is awesome as well, and just keeps it going throughout to the next track.
Yeah.
And I always really like, I like looking at like how popular this, not popular this album is, but like everyone knows Black Rose Immortal, but everyone and their fucking mother knows to bid you farewell. And so like it's kind of weird to me because the first 3 tracks I think get really overlooked with this record. And I don't know, they're great songs, each one of them. So I think it's interesting to sort of see how that works within their discography. Especially since, like, I don't know, My Arms Your Hearse, like, we're Opeth fans, so, like, we know some songs, but, like, I don't know, you probably couldn't ask, like, a normie metalhead a song on My Arms Your Hearse and they'd know it. Because they'd know Black Rose Immortal and, you know, Window Pane and blah, 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 but...
Ghost of Perdition,
yeah.
All the very popular Opeth tracks. Yeah, no, I agree. It's sort of funny that in the greater context of the Opeth lore that these first 2 albums are kind of ignored.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess makes sense because they were much, much, much smaller back then.
Yeah, but, I mean, even so, I think that, I mean, obviously we're going to get to the later records, but at this point in my career, I'm like, I don't think these should be overlooked. So,
no, I agree. And I mean, I think it's very important to get the context to analyze the rest of the career because Opeth has a very interesting progression in the broader prog metal. You know what? Right. Just like hard rock metal world in general, Opeth have a very interesting progression. So, and I think to get to the core of that progression, you got to look at the different eras. Mm-hmm. These 2 albums are very important.
Yes, they are very important. So we jump to Nectar?
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, Nectar, I feel like on this record tends to get overlooked, but once again, certified slapper. You hear some really cool usage of like harmonized acoustic guitars and harsh guitars before we, spoiler alert, go into that signature brand of like harmonized melodeath leads with black metal vocals that you've heard at least 10 times at this point.
This song also has the I'll never forget the song because the very end, when you got the bass thump on the last fucking I will never forget this fucking song just for that. But this song also has some really nice drawn out acoustic passages, as well as the aggression that you can see on a track like Advent or see, I'm losing it, but the first song on Orchid.
In the mist she was standing.
In mist she was standing.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. I was looking at Spotify. Yeah. Well, one thing I do want to say, if we're looking at or speaking of progression, is what's really cool about Nectar in particular is we see a really heavy focus on so Michael and Peter love to use octaves and basically just chug on octaves as chords for a while. So they'll just play a standard chord progression, but moving up and down, normally like an A string root, E string root octave. And you definitely see this a lot on Nectar. And it seems like sort of the natural progression from the melodeath harmonized leads where in a lot of cases they're just playing variations of a major scale and then harmonizing up a third or a fifth. But here they're doing a similar thing. They're just playing chords instead and they're octaves, so they're easy to harmonize with. And it's cool because you'll see this songwriting technique pop up in virtually every Opeth song for the rest of the band's career. And in Nectar, basically the whole middle section, the whole end is just this. They're playing an octave. One's playing an octave up here, one's playing an octave up here, and it creates either a third or a fifth, and they're following the melody. And it's really cool because, I mean, when I think of some of the most memorable Opeth moments in their discography, think the climax of Ghost of Perdition, right? That's what they're doing. Yeah. And you sort of see the start of that here. It's very prominent. If you listen to it, you'll hear it. And
it sounds fucking great. Because it's a natural, I guess, musical idea that that just kind of gets overlooked in metal because no one you don't give a shit if you're a metal musician about music theory. You don't care. I think the way that Opeth actually uses musicality to their strength is I suppose one of their strongest aspects. They're in prog, so they're fucking geniuses anyway. But I don't know. I think that Opeth in particular, because of their foot in both camps, really is able to expertly use those sensibilities.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a real natural thing. It's just musical enough, and like one of I've learned not most, but I've learned a great deal of Opeth songs on guitar. They're really fun. They're not too difficult for the genre, and like something that they love to do, especially like in the mid period, is just play like complex chords under a lot of distortion and create like basically like distorted chord progressions. And it's something that's so simple, and you'd think more bands would do, but for whatever reason, especially in the pretty wide world of death metal, it's just not a thing. And I think it comes from like a lot of the heavy prog influence that, would eventually become all the band did.
Right.
It's one of those things that combines musicality, technicality, and like songwriting in a really unique way. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think one of my favorite moments on this record is the climax of Nectar, where they're doing the same thing. Okay, tell me though, seriously, I know I said it earlier, but tell me this isn't just the climax to Demon of the Fall, right?
No, it is.
Demon!
No, yeah,
Demon of the Fall.
You're right.
And then there's slap bass too.
No, the slap bass is hysterical, and like, you mentioned it earlier, but it's fucking hysterical, man. Because like that happened on Orchid too. There was one song where the bass slap became prominent, and it's just. It's fucking. Is there any other Opeth songs that you can think of
with slap bass
past the early era with slap bass?
Yeah. Actually, I know you've literally never listened to their prog albums, but there's a decent amount. And also, if you listen to their live albums, in order to accent parts, Martin Mendez, the bassist for Opeth from after this album till now, he slaps a lot to emphasize things. Like I think of the Leper Affinity, which is like the dun 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 dun. He slaps that live.
Okay.
And so he'll do it a lot live to emphasize things, but I don't think like this is a line that you'd hear in like a Chili Peppers song.
No, literally.
And so hearing it supplanted on
I'm like,
hearing like the Can't Stop slap line underneath some like banging melodic death metal leads is hysterical.
Yeah, it is definitely memorable. Yeah,
but it works.
Yeah, and it's another testament to the fact that I guess Opeth can do no wrong, even if like they're doing weird shit like that.
So Adam, you only get one guess as to what the lyrics of this song are about.
Would it be dark naturalism?
That might be it. I lament this heritage, cannot bid farewell. The pale face, you went as far as you could, and from that moment, I witnessed your beauty, felt your death.
It's weird because I'm sorry to interrupt, but
oh no, you're good.
I think every Opeth lyric is all the Opeth lyrics are exactly the same, and
totally.
It's funny because like even in that I heard like 3 Opeth song titles in just that like 3 line of lyrics you read, and like
exactly.
it's weird because like I think Michael's a good lyricist, and like he is kind of able to paint a picture in your head, even if it's kind of like, oh, well, like this isn't the most creative thing ever, but like it works.
No, I'd say that like as long as, especially in metal, as long as the lyrics aren't actively detracting from it, and as long as they're adding some nice ambiance to think about, I'm happy.
Right.
And he does have some of my favorite lyrics in metal.
No, yeah,
in certain songs, but
they're great. But yeah, they are all the same, and it's just so funny.
I know, it's like literally if you just took like the late period of Emily Dickinson's career, where every other poem was about like romanticizing death, and then you sprinkled in a little bit of like, I don't know, mid-period romanticism. You're
there.
You're there. Well, it's funny because I mean I know in reading a lot of the press releases for In Cauda Venenum, Michael would be like, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to write a record in Swedish so I couldn't bullshit anymore,"
yeah.
Which is funny because he's totally bullshitting, but it kind of works.
No, I think it absolutely works, and I don't think there's better music that the lyrics kind of fit into that. Because like I don't know, you might see something like that in like a black metal album, but even there, I think that's a little. The beauty of sort of that aesthetic and the lyrics just doesn't fit that as well as I think it does here because of the melody and, I guess, prog influence that you put into this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, they're definitely memorable, and they definitely give like the band a consistent lyrical aesthetic, which I think is important.
Yeah.
So,
But
you ready to talk about the best song of all time?
I mean, it's a fucking good fucking song,
No,
dude.
I mean, I have a bit of a storied history of Black Rose Immortal.
Oh,
I remember,
enlighten.
whenever you hear what your favorite prog band, not that Opeth were ever my favorite prog band, but they're a band I like. Whenever you hear a prog band you like has a 20-minute long song, you got to check it out. And I remember the first time I heard this, coming off of like bands like Haken and like Rush or Yes or whatever,
Yeah.
I was so caught off guard because this song is just an Opeth song, but it's 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like that. It's not the thing that a lot of prog bands do where, they'll have a chorus and then have another chorus, and then like 10 minutes of wanking, and
it's
then
not
the last chorus.
Crystallized by any
No,
means.
it's not Crystallized or Visions or even
Right.
Messiah Complex.
Yeah.
It's very much Opeth taking the material or in the formula
just-
they've been using and just being like, yo, what if we make it kind of better and do it for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And that's what the song is.
Yeah. But oh man, what a song!
What a 20 minutes they are.
Yeah.
No, I feel like it's especially like of the early period. I know every note on this song. Every time I hear it, it's so familiar.
Oh, yeah.
I could just hum so many different points, and it's great. Like
I completely agree. It's so the riffs are simple enough to where like they become hooky in themselves. Like the way that they separate certain moments from one another is just so memorable, and I don't know, man. I mean, there's a reason this is one of like their heralded tracks.
no, totally. Like there's a reason why fans every time you see Opeth live, instead of saying "Play Freebird," you say "Play Black Rose Immortal."
Yeah.
And there are just so many nuggets of like memorability in here. Like, it starts off with that iconic tom fill, like
And then it just breaks right into it.
and then you get like another start stop, and then you get the Opeth thing where they harmonize guitars and the drums do. I don't know. It's so great.
It's a jam. Yeah, I mean, this song is just... I don't want to say it's the perfect way to write an Opeth song, but the structure obviously perfectly fits what they've been doing on the entire record up to this point. But even throughout, the acoustic passages are so unique. And it's not afraid to take its time with what it wants to do. And it also isn't afraid to break out of its roots, which I feel like with some of those, like, obviously we listen to good prog, but I feel like there's got to be plenty of prog bands out there that just, like, cannot get a break when they're writing, like, these super monolithic tracks.
Yeah, no, I feel you. No, it's important to give the listener, like, I mean, post-rock's all about dynamics, right? But prog rock's also all about dynamics. It's about variation within composition. It's about the blend of harsh motifs and light motifs and the way they can sometimes coalesce and sometimes exist separately. And this song is definitely like an essay on how to do that.
Yeah.
Like, even that first real acoustic break, it's so simple, but it's so memorable, and it works well after 4 minutes of kick-ass guitar, like, wizardry.
Seriously.
Like... do 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 whisper. That's, and then obviously we go back into more octave riffing, and it works really nicely. I don't know, like this song is just, it's really wonderful, and it's a joy from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I don't want to say there's no Opeth today without Black Rose Immortal, but like I don't know, I feel like at this point in the band's career, with a successful track like this, and obviously the whole record, it's no surprise to me that, why from here, I guess, things only look up.
No,
this is only album 2, and like, Black Rose Immortal is far from Opeth's biggest song. Far.
I agree.
Yet it's, I think, inarguably one of their best and most memorable.
No, exactly. I mean, it really is just they're writing nothing but amazing riffs and amazing melodic ideas and just putting them together in a blender and adding a few motifs that carry the song, and suddenly it works.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the acoustic passages here are super memorable. Even like the harsh, even the clean vocals are great. Like the Kosh, where he's like, "Your voice is vast and achromatic." Like that is such a clunky phrasing, and I have no idea what it means. And I'm an English major, but like, I don't know. It just works, right?
No, yeah.
And I will say, one thing that's interesting about this song too is how long the acoustic breaks last. Because especially for like a death metal band and a song that's 20 minutes long, you'd kind of think it'd be easier to just go, doing the harmonized melodeath thing.
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't. It never gets boring either. Certainly not. And when in this point in Opeth's early career, they just kind of do the same thing over and over again on every track. Like even it's still great. It's still awesome.
I agree.
I don't think we can do justice for the longest track in their discography without, kind of just repeating everything we've already said over and over again. Because this track is a statement, and certainly a defining moment for the band in their career.
And I mean, it's such a dope ending too. Like you get that harsh section where you hear the signature title drop, and he's like, "Black Rose, immortal," or whatever, and then you get "The sun is dark again," and then it,
weird ending, but great
ending.
And
then it builds, and then you get a kind of like a weird faux fade out with Michael just belting on top.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just 20 minutes of like Opethian goodness, great sonic ideas, very memorable, and the fact that like I know we love BT Bam here, but I feel like if BT Bam were to write a 20-minute long song like "Swim to the Moon" without a hook or without, like it would not go well, But
are you saying "Swim to the Moon" is bad, Sam?
Is that
a claim? Did you claim that?
Okay, no. "Swim to the Moon" is, I think, a good song, but it's definitely not the best song on that album, and their songwriting weaknesses definitely show on that tune. Like, if you take the hook out of that song, it is fundamentally boring.
Yeah, right.
But we're not talking about another day.
We're not talking about we're not talking about BT Bam.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's I will say, I remember when I was younger and I always listened to this album up to Black Rose Immortal and then just stop.
God, I know.
Because it really does feel like the end,
it's horrible because I don't know. "To Bid You Farewell" is a great song. But yeah, you're right. I personally think Black Rose Immortal would have made a better ending, but whatever. Speaking of,
I think "To Bid You Farewell" is actually kind of a really clever way to end it, because if Black Rose Immortal is their career, it's the climax of their whole career at this point. "To Bid You Farewell" is a damn good falling action.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And it's like the first Opeth ballad.
It is, yeah. Absolutely.
Like this song could, like, here you start to hear the beginnings of Damnation and what would become the end of their career. Like, it's just super mellow. It's super, like, it's soft rock, 70s prog.
This song is...
It's so beautiful. It's like beautiful, that middle section with like the do 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 do, and like the lyrics here, obviously dark naturalism, right? Except something about the fact that they're all delivered with Michael's choir boy. There's no harsh sections, and just the overall vibe and how warm it feels. I don't know. It gives almost like a wistful, like nostalgic view, which is something you wouldn't really expect out of the band, where every other song is about Satan in the forest. So
right, yeah, no, and I mean, I think the reason, or one of the many reasons why the song is so popular, is just because, I mean, maybe it's because it's just a pop song, which is kind of weird, but like every moment on this track is memorable too. Like,
yeah, no, I fully agree.
You have the subtle change from like right in the middle section of the song where you have a do 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 do, and then it becomes I forget what it drops, but I think it becomes minor like later in the song. But
this song,
bad music
honestly,
theory is bad, but
here we go. This song is like one of the true pieces in the early Opeth that's really composed. Like, there's a consistent motif throughout. It's relatively linear compared to the others, and there's a clear focus on the guitar melody and the vocal melody, and it's really clever. Like, it's 10 minutes of one sonic idea pushed to its limit. There's a really clear climax that is, naturally met, and it's just kind of gorgeous throughout.
Yeah. I don't wish there were more tracks like this in their early career, because I do think it is important that they started with this only to grow from it and, have more and more as their career progresses.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do kind of wish that there were more straight ballads like this in their early career.
Yeah, because, this song is great, and they definitely know how to do it.
Yeah, they knew. Yeah, clearly they knew how to do it. But yes, I don't know. What more is there to say about?
I don't know. This is an amazing sophomore record. I feel like it improves upon the Orchid formula in every way. It's 5 10-minute songs that are somehow interesting and work despite having no real hook.
Yeah, no, they're still in full prog writing mode. It's strange, but it works so well. Even like instrumentally better than I shouldn't have used instrumentally, but incrementally better than Orchid. I think. I think that it's a pretty easy slot up, and I understand why someone like Stereogum would put Orchid above most other Opeth albums because of its importance. But in terms of just, I guess, sheer quality, quote unquote, I don't know. This album is really damn good.
It's really good, and it's really consistent. It's really solid.
Yes.
Like, one thing that really got me is if you look at the RYM ratings for Opeth, this is the highest rated non-Golden Era record.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of see it.
Oh, I absolutely see it. I think that it will probably hold a very high place when, I guess, we come around and, continue to rank these albums. I think that it probably will hold that spot.
Yeah, no, I feel that. So, yeah, no, all the albums that you'd expect to be over this on RYM are, but, it does beat out Orchid, Deliverance, surprisingly.
It even beats out Watershed.
Yeah. So, hey, cool. I don't know. Like, this is... I feel like if I was in a theoretical universe where me and Adam are black metal heads in, like, Sweden or something in the 90s, would be like, hey, dude, this is a good album. I cannot wait for next Opeth.
That's... Okay.
I have nothing but respect for the Swedish people.
And with that...
what would you rank this? No, rating. I feel like it's a 9.
Yeah, it's a 9. Like, I don't even. I guess it's kind of funny because we sort of our only frame of reference is Orchid, which we put it in did we put it at an 8?
Yeah, we put it at an 8.
8, and this record is definitely better, but I don't know how much better because of there's so much more music to come.
Yeah, no, I know. It's funny because we're already giving their second album a 9. Spoiler alert. They have we're getting 12 more albums, and I'd consider a lot of them better than this. So
right. So I think I think because of sort of that knowledge and that predisposition that there are better records than this, at least objectively in the musical landscape. I would say it's a 9, but I kind of want to say it's an 8.5 or an 8 points.
But look, if I heard this tomorrow I'd probably be like, oh, this is a 9. You know, if I was trying to rate objectively, that's the way I look at it. It's just like it's gonna be funny because we're gonna be seeing a lot of 9s and then like 2 or 3, probably 2 10s.
Yeah. So yes, then I think Morningrise is a 9. Certainly better than
Orchid.
Orchid, yeah.
And so say goodbye to Anders Norton and Johan, whatever his last name is.
Anders Norton and Johan de Farfalla.
Yeah, who's a conservative cringe. But anywho, we're saying goodbye to those guys. They're nay-naying out of the Opeth discography forever. And we're going to say hello to Martin Lopez and Martin Mendez next time.
No! Martin Mendez doesn't come in yet.
Oh, he only comes in on Still Life?
My Arms Your Hearse is just our good old boy in Sewin.
Oh, that's funny.
Michael plays bass on My Arms Your Hearse.
Yeah, I gotta like read a little bit about... Anywho, that's next week.
What do you got for news?
Honestly, I feel like almost nothing happened this week.
All right, well, I have a little bit of news. It's not really big news.
Well, hey, I have a little bit of news too. We have yet more allegations against Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Also, did you see that Phoebe Bridgers performance? It was sick.
I did not.
On SNL where she smashed her guitar?
I did not. I heard about it, but
it's cool. I watched the video and like I've had to listen to a lot of Phoebe Bridgers. You know, Punisher's a good album and all, but it was cool. You know, she's good live, and it was cool like seeing her go full Sonic Youth.
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you see that shit today.
No, exactly. And like any chance, I know it sounds mean, but any chance I can see to see like guitar driven music on the stage that big with doing like punk rock shit, that's cool.
Yeah. Motherfucking. Walker is putting out a solo EP.
Oh, you know what? I'm sure it will be good.
Last day of the month. It is called Sharks Fly. And
is it a cover EP?
I don't know. But it is called Sharks Fly, and there is a shark with wings on the cover.
Is that like nice?
Yes. I don't know what it's going to be, but for Protest the Hero fans, something to consider.
Wait, what? I mean, it's not like we've released the year-end list, so how would you know if we're Protest the Hero fans?
We did put out a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
So do you watch the halftime show?
I did watch the halftime show. I actually watched the Super Bowl.
Pretty good.
I thought it was okay. I wasn't blown away by it, but I also didn't hate it. I know a lot of people that did not like it at all, which I didn't really
The consensus seems to be pretty big.
No, actually, I've spoken to a lot of people that were very anti Weekend performance. They just didn't understand it. And I think that goes to show kind of that, like, I don't know, people sort of need to be in tune with popular music more. I mean, I understand Weekend's not like the biggest.
Okay, you're talking to your roommates who listen to like Soulja.
No, not even. I was in my newspaper meeting yesterday, and a kid is writing an article about why the Super Bowl halftime show sucked.
Really? I mean, mean, maybe I'm just too entrenched in like the Brooklyn vegan style music blog, but like Pitchfork liked it, Rolling Stone liked it, Stereogum liked it.
I mean,
Anthony Fantano liked it.
I know. I think it is definitely a zeitgeist thing because, I mean, like, people were like, "Oh, why were they wearing like the jockstrap on the head?" And I was like, it just kind of goes to show that there is so much of a disconnect between the music world and, I guess, the halftime show watching crowd. But I mean, I thought it was fine, and I liked sort of the premise behind it, that, like, The Weeknd just sort of did it all on his own. I'm honestly happy that he did. I'm glad that there were no random-ass guests to just show up out of nowhere. And I mean, I thought he performed well.
Yeah, no, it was okay. You don't tell me it wasn't cool seeing House of Balloons at the Super Bowl halftime show.
I agree.
I don't know. I like The Weeknd quite a bit.
I think it's good. I didn't have, like, I don't know. I still want Gojira to play the halftime show. Okay?
I mean, I probably want Metallica, honestly.
I don't know. I don't need to see Metallica play live again. I've seen enough YouTube videos. But anyway,
we've actually never seen him live though, right?
We've never seen Metallica live, no.
Wow.
But
we
I
almost
also
did.
Want to pay for those tickets. That's true. We did almost see them.
We can't even go to a big four show anymore. What is this?
I know. Yeah, I have a bunch of like shitty wacky news.
Yeah, I have a bunch of shitty wacky news too.
All
Speaking of Metallica, they captured this. So they did a bunch of cool colored re-releases, and they captured all 5 vinyl spots on the top 100 vinyl chart.
Really?
Whenever you think to yourself, oh, Metallica aren't that big, right? Just remember, these guys are billionaires.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
I mean, that being said, the best Metallica album, and your words, not mine, is Load and Reload.
Actually, you know what? I went into an undisclosed taco and burrito store as part of my work the other day, and they were playing Eye of the Beholder, and I was like,
"What?
Excuse me? Hello? No, seriously. They had And Justice for All playing the whole album.
Hey, that's cool. I mean,
I was like, wow.
I feel like most people like at least one Metallica song.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
And my favorite Metallica song, let's be real, it's... Wait, 1 second. 1 second.
I don't know, mine's probably like...
No, dude, my favorite Metallica song is definitely Junior Dad. Okay, Lulu, we got to do a Lulu cast because that album's based. Yeah, dude, Lulu's the ultimate pleb filter.
Oh, I agree with that. All right, wait. Sticking with big metal bands for a minute.
Do you listen to Matt Kichi, Chaos, Heafies, Sea Shanty?
Stop. There was a study done by a hair loss clinic, and I know this is weird, but there was a study done by a hair loss clinic.
What are you saying to me?
There was a study done by a hair loss clinic that measured people's level of stress, heart rate, and blood pressure when listening to different types of music.
Oh yeah, I saw the study.
And heavy metal classic. A heavy metal classics playlist, whatever you think that might mean. My guess would be, I don't know, 80s hair metal. You got maybe some Metallica in there. I'm not exactly sure, but you have a general idea. But the heavy metal classics playlist was the second most responsive in decreasing patients' heart rate. Decreasing heart rate and substantial drop in blood pressure. 89% reported a decrease in blood pressure. 18% showed a decrease, an 18% decrease in heart rate. So yeah, that's cool. And every other genre, except for 80s pop, is below that. So, I think that's kind of interesting.
Interesting. I mean, play some anal cunt, see if they enjoy it.
Well, I don't know about that, but definitely...
You should probably bleep that out.
Well, they're a band.
Yeah, but I actually, do you ever bleep anything out? I feel like I could say my address and you'd be like, oh, yeah.
Well... No, I bleep out what we need to bleep out. I don't think we need to bleep out anal cunt. I'll say it again, anal cunt. They're a band.
All right, fair.
I said all bitches must die earlier. I can keep anal cunt in there.
All right. You excited for the new Kuon album?
It is listed as explicit, but anyway. What?
You excited for the new Kuon album?
I am actually very excited for Ice Fleet. And you know what I'm also excited for?
What?
Talking release news. Mere Cognitum solo album. Solar Paroxysm.
Bro.
March 19th.
I feel like these one-man black metal dudes just don't sleep.
They don't.
They wake up in the morning, they work their 9 to 5 mechanic job. They get home, smoke weed, and just write and record black metal.
It's a 5-song album. The single is 11 minutes.
God damn it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here in my dorm room, like, oh, I have all this free time. I have every material I could need to write solo black metal, and I have like a song and a half written.
Yeah. It's being released on iVoidhanger on March 19th.
We got to get signed to iVoidhanger, honestly.
Yeah. Good label.
Yes. Did you hear Spencer Satello's pop song?
I have not. I've been scared.
It's like, close your eyes, think what a Spencer Satello pop song would sound like.
I can imagine it already.
Yep. I mean, he's a great vocalist. Oh, actually, one thing that only we would care about is Spencer's dropped a few re-recorded raw vocal stems of Q1.
I've heard some of those.
Yeah, I heard the all new materials, and I was like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like, it is cool.
We might have Periphery fans in our base. Who knows?
I mean, they are ginormous. Like, I'll never forget when we saw, like, the group of, like, anarchist, like, Proud Boy
Yes.
chuds.
Yes, the oh my god.
Yeah, and he just has a Periphery flag, and he's wearing a Rings of Saturn shirt. Like, oh my god.
Hysterical.
I mean, do you like, listen to the music? Like, do you know that all of these guys are, like, leftists? Like, come on, dude.
I don't know.
Anywho,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's literally all I have for news. I went on Loudwire for exactly 2 seconds and I almost passed out.
I have some more news. So Converge apparently has a massive tour planned.
So we've seen them or what?
What bands they are, but they're among this list. Yautja, I don't know who that is. Deftones, Meshuggah, Car Bomb, The Armed, Genghis Tron, Primitive Man,
bro,
Cannibal Corpse, Mr. Bungle, Mutoid Man, probably going to be Mutoid Man, Doom Riders, All Pigs Must Die, probably also going to be All Pigs Must Die, Body Count, Cave In, probably also be Cave In, some band called Minus the Bear.
You don't know Minus the Bear?
No, I don't.
Wait,
The Ocean.
So are they doing like an Ozfest?
Apparently it's a huge tour, according to Ben Kohler. But there's more. Every Time I Die, Old Man Gloom, Wayfarer, Heaven in Her Arms, The Sword, Author and Punisher, Greyhaven, Mastodon, Cult of Luna, and Sumac.
Jesus Christ, that's a lineup.
Well, no.
Well, I mean, imagine if you only pick like 3 of those bands, it's pretty great.
Yes.
So I mean, honestly, I could totally see them doing like a Summer of Slaughter style thing.
Yeah, I mean they're big enough.
That's funny. Imagine seeing like Sumac and Primitive Man and Converge in the same day.
One of those bands is correct that I listed.
Only one of them.
At least one of those is correct.
It's probably like Mutoid Man.
That'd be my guess, but I'm not really sure. Behemoth.
Nurgle, our guy.
Poor Nurgle.
Do you know he's a judge on Poland The Voice?
Yes, but he's also, again, being sued for blasphemy by the Polish government.
Like, what? Okay, is Poland really that Christian?
Yes.
I feel
it's
like
a Christian state.
Yeah, I mean, so is America. I feel like Satanism is just kind of okay now.
Not in Poland, it's not.
Clearly. I'm going to a black mass when COVID ends, okay?
Adam D. is accused of having, on September 25th, 2019, acting via the internet, publicly insulted the object of Christian religious worship in the form of the person of the Mother of God by placing a photo on the Facebook social network on its official profile, presenting a damaged picture showing the image of the Mother of God with a shoe-legged figure placed in the place of the indicated figure, which was described by a on the set, which translated means on the set, thus offending the feelings. I don't know. Okay,
grow up, snowflakes.
Stupid bullshit. But
dude, conservatism, cringe.
This I have seen on in an interview with Talk Culture. Corey Taylor revealed.
Oh my God! Shut up!
No, this is you're gonna.
I know. I saw this, dude. What does he think about it though?
Corey Taylor revealed that he'd love to write a full-on musical about his friends and his life in his 20s.
He's gone mad with power.
I think he has, to be
Dude,
honest.
the neck
It
is
would be... Okay, this is a good quote. It would be a real musical, not Spam-A-Lot or anything like that.
Oh, no! Okay, honestly, though, like, if he wrote a musical, it'd probably have screaming and, like, metal guitars.
I mean, maybe...
No, dude, hear me out.
I don't want a Slipknot musical.
Hear me out. No, hear me out though. You got Corey Taylor as the protagonist playing himself, and you have Stone Sour Corey Taylor on one side being his angle, and you have number 9, the maggot Slipknot Corey Taylor being his devil.
That's so cringe. That's so bad. I hate it. I hate every minute of it.
Corey Taylor was decently old when Slipknot broke great. He was like in his late 20s, I thought.
Well, yeah, that's how he found his friends. So there wouldn't even be. It'd be a rock musical. It would be a CMFT musical, dude.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's something we need. Honestly, I'd play guitar for it.
Stop. You wouldn't. It would be a live band.
No, well,
it would be like dance. Anyway.
Well, let's say this blows up, theoretically, and it somehow makes its way to community theaters in 10 years, which it won't, but let's say it does.
I'm playing Corey Taylor.
You don't have the range, bitch.
No one has the range. He's Corey Taylor.
You mean he's Corey motherfucking Taylor?
He is Corey motherfucking Taylor.
Dude, what does Corey Taylor think about that?
I just told you what he thinks about that. Alright, last one. Funny one. Apparently, this guy built a guitar using his uncle's skeleton as a bass. Yeah. Good for him. That's
honestly, power to him.
That's very metal. Good job. You've succeeded in metalldom.
He's done it.
He has done it. All right. I think it's release time. What's coming up?
I'm excited for Ad Nauseum. Woo.
Ad Nauseum?
Slow Tie?
Oh, no.
What?
Oh, no, never mind. No, never mind. I lied. Never mind. Forget about what I was going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought there was a Normie album, and I think it's Slow Tie. Oh, did you... Okay, we got to mention this, dude. What do your friends think of Taylor Swift's re-recorded Fearless?
I haven't even talked to them about it. But I know I didn't know about it. I will have to ask. We will talk about it next week. I'm sure.
I don't know. I see, good for her. I see it. I just can't see Taylor Swift as anything less than like a cynical industry cog, which is kind of mean, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
No one listens to this anyway.
There's no reason she needs to put out that record. Not one.
Well, actually, the reason is Scooter Braun owns her masters.
I don't give a shit.
And she can't spend like a fraction of her like $400 million net worth to buy them back.
Right. Sorry.
Sorry. You're right.
It's called Taylor's version.
Dude,
it's called Fearless Taylor's version. Yeah,
leave Taylor alone, dude.
No, I will not leave Taylor alone. I hope that she sees success in her efforts.
Something tells me she will. No, dude, honestly, like, hear me out. I wouldn't be surprised if... Well, no, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm saying it. Folklore and Pale Communion or whatever. I know that's not the name of her. Nevermore. I don't even know.
Evermore.
It was a ploy to get a lot of her old fans back, right? By appealing to the older generation and by coming across as more artsy, right? Now she sucker punches them, hits them with some good old fashioned late 2000s nostalgia, and gets everyone that was into her from the age of 8 to like 20 at the time to buy the album. And she makes a new chart push. She's trying to re-enter her eminence phase of her pop star, because Adam, every pop star has a few phases. You have your rise to power, where you're scoring hits. You have your eminence phase, where everything you drop is gold no matter what. Taylor Swift is out of that. And you have the stage after, where like Madonna is, where Katy Perry is, where you just sort of slowly fall out of relevance until you put on a Las Vegas stage show. A tenured Las Vegas stage show, Adam. Think about the horrors. That's what David Lee Roth is doing. Anywho, Taylor Swift is trying to regain her eminence.
I don't care.
I don't either.
I don't know. Taylor Swift's... I'm glad she's making money. I'm glad. I'm happy for her. I'm glad that the country girl from Tennessee is reading her song.
Her parents are like hedge fund managers. Her mom.
I'm glad that she got success.
She actually.
That's all.
This is what I always think is funny, and what I always like to tell people is Taylor Swift literally moved from New York City to Tennessee to pursue a music.
I know.
It's all mean. You know what? Whatever. I'm just clearly being an edgy, like 14-year-old that finds out the world isn't fair. Speaking of the world not being fair, did you know Ad Nauseam actually built their own instruments and amps for the album?
It's looking cool. I did not know that.
Dude, this album's gonna be a 10. You know it.
Yeah, probably.
Whenever AMG gives a 5, I drop everything I'm doing and check it out.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, wait. Didn't they give a 5 to Passing Light of Day?
No, I don't think so. Now I gotta look though.
Oh no, Adam! What are we doing?
I don't think it did, but hold on. I always forget how to find.
Wait, they only gave it. No, they gave it a 4. That's funny.
Yeah, see.
What is their last 5? Is it Piron?
No, Wilderun, Dingle.
Oh yeah, gosh, you know me. Sorry.
Yeah, your favorite album of that year. Oh no.
I love. Sorry, it took me a second. Hey, I met the guitarist when I got a tattoo.
That's true, you did.
I met him again when I got another tattoo. And he was cool. And I talked to him briefly about Child of Bodom. He was like, "Yeah, man, it's like I've never been a huge fan of Bodom, but they did so much for so many people. And Alexi was a guitar god." And I was like, "Up top, bro."
Good.
True story. True story.
But yeah, no. So the last one was Wilderun, and then What Passes for Survival, and then Thranenkind, Killing Joke, and then Pale Communion.
And before that, Bilateral.
Yep. And L'Enfant Sauvage, and the Dodecahedron debut, and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, I think that's it. I think you'll see us next week for our My Arms, Your Hearse.
Literally the worst album title ever. I've been Sam.
I'm Adam.
PM Metal Guide forever. Bye.